Hey guys, Halina here, and today I'm going to be ranking the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 7 episodes, so stay tuned. Okay, so Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s finale aired on Wednesday, and it was emotional to say the least, so I thought I would take a look back at the final season and just rank the episodes. Now, before we start, I want to say that this ranking is my personal preference and in no way an official ranking. And given the fact that I will be ranking episodes from season 7, there will definitely be spoilers. So if you're not caught up on the final season, go get caught up and then come back here and watch the video. So now that the spoiler warning is out of the way, I keep hitting myself on the bookshelf. Let's just get to it. Okay. So, coming in at number 13 is episode 7, The Totally Excellent Adventures of Mac and the D. Now, I'm looking down at my laptop because I cannot remember episode numbers and episode titles, really, honestly. So, and I do have points, so, yeah. So, at number 13 is episode 7, The Totally Excellent Adventures of Mac and the D. Now, this episode was a fun one, and we got, some really great Mac and Deke scenes as they got stranded in the 80s. But despite that, and the fact that the guest stars were really fun, the Deke squad, I really loved them. It's at the bottom of the list because it felt very much like a filler episode. And I mean, it was a good, fun filler episode, but filler nonetheless. At number 12, I put episode 2, Know Your Onions. Now, this episode had many things going for it. Sure, Enoch being left behind was sad, and the fact that it sort of became a running joke really did kind of suck. But his and Koenig's dynamic was absolute gold. I really loved it. I really honestly do wish we got to see more of the two of them together. And May versus Enoch, amazing. Now, I always love when May kicked butt, and she and Enoch were oddly pretty evenly matched, which didn't make much sense in episodes that I will discuss later. But yeah, another thing that I really loved about it was when May discovers that Coulson is alive, but not really. It was amazing. It was heartbreaking. It was just all the feels, all at the same time. And despite all that, it's low on the list because it really wasn't entirely memorable as a whole episode. Like, there were memorable moments, but as a whole episode, I felt like it just wasn't very memorable. And honestly, I didn't remember a lot of things until I went and I looked back for this video. So, yeah, it's at number 12. At number 11 is episode 8, After Before. Now, much like the Totally Excellent Adventures of Mac and the D, and I really hope I don't have to keep saying that title because it's a mouthful. After Before provided some great character moments, but this time it was between May and Yo-Yo. They essentially go to Afterlife, they're reunited with Jiaying, and they're trying to figure out what happened, like what's going on with Yo-Yo's powers, why they're not working. Very comedic moments. Jiaying essentially suggests that May and Yo-Yo meditate to try to get to the root of Yo-Yo's power problem. And it is very obviously something that makes both May and Yo-Yo extremely uncomfortable. And again, eventually they discover that sparring will help. So it led to an awesome May versus Yo-Yo sparring match. Again, I love these two so much, and getting to see them kick butt together was just phenomenal. And while this one was somewhat of another filler episode, what puts this one higher than the totally excellent adventures of Mac and the D is that there was progression forward in the story. Yo-Yo discovers that it's like trauma from her past that is keeping her from using her powers, and then eventually she comes to terms with it and manages to remove the piece from the jump drive that is causing it to malfunction and saves the day for a brief moment. Yeah, so moving on to number 10, I have episode 1, The New Deal. Now, this may not have been the best episode of the season. However, as a season opener, it was a really good episode, honestly. It set the standard for future episodes of the season. We learned a little bit about the Chronicom's plans and why they need to travel through time, essentially. Introducing Franklin Roosevelt and having the agents believe that he is the person that the Chronicoms are targeting, only to reveal that it is Freddie Malik, the father of Gideon Malik. That was a really great twist. And while this was a great season premiere episode with some great moments, there were plenty of better episodes as the season went on. So, now we're going to look at those ones. At number 9, I have episode 10, Stolen. Now, in Stolen, we're reunited with Roxy Glass, who is a member of the Deke Squad. Yeah. She reveals that Deke was not authorized to make the Deke Squad agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And, I mean, we all knew that, but it was kind of funny when she was like, yeah, because it turns out, like, we're not actually agents. That was a really funny moment. I really do wish we got more appearances from the rest of the Deke Squad, because I mean, they were such a fun part of the episode, The Totally Excellent Adventures of Mac and the D. I'm going to keep saying that title, and it's going to keep driving me nuts. But they were one of the fun parts of that episode. So I really wish that we got to see a little bit more of them. Not a whole lot, but like a Roxy cameo like we got. On top of all that, James Paxton makes his debut appearance as John Garrett, the role that his father previously played before him, so that was a really nice tribute, and I really enjoyed that. John Garrett also references Coulson's death by Loki as his favorite, and that was a lot of fun because we're tying it back to the MCU a little bit. So that was really fun. John Garrett, obviously very excited to get his powers, and watching him struggle with mastering them provided several different comedic moments throughout the episode. We got to see Daisy reconnect with Jiaying as well, and that was really nice because Daisy got some form of closure, even though it wasn't the Jiaying that was in her timeline. It was still her mother, and she got closure in a way. Then the moment when Jiaying learns that Daisy is her daughter and like instantly goes into protective mom mode was honestly such a great moment. I think Daisy really needed that, and we got it. And then Jiaying dies, and this I wasn't really a fan of because I really feel like I wish we had more Daisy Jiaying moments. But it did lead to probably my absolute favorite moment, when Daisy gets so mad that Nathaniel killed her mother that she, like, essentially just, like, quakes, like, everything around her. That was a lot of fun. But this episode is low on the list because by this point, Nathaniel Malick was already on my nerves. And just him being himself, just really, like, ruined the episode in a way for me. So, yeah. Coming in at number 8, I have episode 5, A Trout in the Milk. Again, this was a fun episode. Seeing Sousa outside of his element for the very first time was fun, and the fact that he refused to dress for the decade just screamed Sousa. And then, of course, Enoch is back. Enoch is reunited with the team type thing, and I really do love that. This was also the first time we truly got to see some Daisy and Sousa flirting. You can check out my thoughts on those two by clicking the video in the eye. I don't even know which side the eye is on, but yeah. This is also where we see Nathaniel becoming the big bad of the season. By far my favorite part of the episode was the opening credits, though. That whole sequence where we get, like, everybody sort of, like, in their little moment type thing was just perfect. It was a fun episode. It was, but not quite the best. At number 7, I have episode 11, Brand New Day. And I have one word to say about that. Fits! We got Fitz. Now, sure, it was in quote-unquote flashbacks, but he was there in new footage, in old footage. It was just perfect. It took so many episodes for any sighting of Fitz. And so getting to see him really just, like, made me love this episode. Now, of course, there were other great moments. Daisy and Cora had scenes together, and while Daisy did abandon her biological sister to rescue her chosen sister, it was great to finally get these two in the same room with each other. But May and Cora in scenes is what I really loved, mainly because of behind-the-scenes facts. Now, Diane Doan, I feel like I mispronounced that, but she plays Cora in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but she played Lonnie, daughter of Mulan, in the Descendants movie. And of course, Ming-Na Wen, our very own Melinda May, is known for being the voice of Mulan. So it was like a mother-daughter reunion of sorts, and I really, really loved that. But of course, we get a big showdown between May and Cora, and while you can argue that it seemed odd that May was able to survive Cora's attacks because May does not have superpowers. Yeah, she has the power of empathy, but like, she doesn't have any sort of superpowers, and Cora's just like this destructive force. So it doesn't quite make sense that May escaped that without harm, but I mean, I really loved it. Like, I think that was a really fun fight scene. Overall, pretty good episode. I really did enjoy Brand New Day. But now we have reached the point where it is very difficult to rank the episodes because they were just all so good. And I had to put them in an order. So, I mean, let's just look at number 6. just happens to also be episode 6, Adapt or Die. Now, this episode was full of emotion for Mac. He rescues his parents, only to discover that his parents were long dead, and the parents that were with him were Chronicoms. And watching Mac's heartbreak as he has to kill the Chronicoms who stole his parents' face just, like, shattered my heart. Like, here's Mac, who's normally so, like, strong and stoic and everything like that, and he's just, you can see the heartbreak on his face, and Henry Simmons did such a great job portraying that whole, heartbreak and that conflict and just everything. I loved it. And we finally learn what's going on with Simmons and why she has seemed off throughout the whole season. So that was like a finally moment. And we were treated to some awesome Coulson and May scenes. So yeah, this episode was really good. I really liked this episode. At number 5, I put episode 3. Alien Commies from the Future. Oh man, did I love this episode. This entire episode I loved so much. It was filled with comedy while we're watching Simmons and Coulson try to, discover who in Area 51 Shield base is a Chronicom. We get Sousa appearing for the first time. Honestly, just everything about this episode was a lot of fun. And the only thing that could have made it better, and you guys know where I'm going with this if you follow the channel, if we had gotten Haley Atwell as Peggy in the episode, it would have been perfect. Especially if she goes to discover that Simmons is impersonating her. Honestly, that would have been the only thing that made it absolutely perfect. I mean, I did enjoy Simmons impersonating Peggy, though, so that was a lot of fun. At number 4, I have episode 4, Out of the Past. Again, this was another great episode, dealing with the fact that Sousa was supposed to die, and the team was just trying to keep him alive until he was supposed to essentially die. But, they find a way to preserve the timeline while saving Sousa's life. So that worked out really well for everybody. In this episode, we also learned what May's new powers are, so that was a lot of fun, getting to kind of get an explanation as to why May was acting so weird, because she was, like, emotionless, and then she was, like, almost too emotional, she was too giddy, she was too confused, and it was like, what is going on with May? Like, so getting answers as to her powers was perfect, honestly. And explaining the black and white effect of the episode being a glitch in Coulson's mind was great fun. Like, we got a black and white episode, and it actually made sense within the story. So that was really great that they managed to figure out how to do that. But coming in at number 3, we're in the top 3, guys, is episode 12, The End Is at Hand. All right, I hear what you guys are saying. I did go back and forth on whether or not I should combine episode 12 and 13 since they aired as a 2-hour series finale. But ultimately I decided against it. Because despite being combined together, it was not a part 1 and part 2. Yeah, so episode 12 is at number 3, because Fitz is here in the flesh. Finally. Like, Yeah, we got him in the flashbacks and everything like that, but now he is actually physically here. We can stop speculating about whether or not he died. Um, he is here. And that was just a great moment. This was a really great build up episode. Let's be real. There was a lot of action and tension heading into the final hour of the series. There was some great moments as Deke does everything that he can to protect his Nana from Sybil and Nathaniel's attacks on her mind. And of course, everybody worrying about like the fact that Simmons can't remember anything. Like, it's heartbreaking. And we did get to see Victoria Hand pop up, so that was a great surprise. I was not expecting that. Overall, it was a really good episode, a great setup for the final hour. At number 2, and this might shock a lot of people, but at number 2, I have episode 9, As I Have Always Been. Yes, I have the time loop episode very high on my list. This episode could have very easily been a disaster, especially in the hands of first-time director Elizabeth Henstridge, but surprisingly it wasn't. And Elizabeth Henstridge did a remarkable job directing, but also acting in the episode. Like, she was on top of it, and I am, like, so amazed. She did a really good job. I love the fact that by the time the episode starts, they've already looped at least 87 times, but Coulson's not entirely sure because sometimes Daisy forgets to power him back up. And we're learning about all of this because Daisy apparently died the previous jump, and so Coulson has to explain it to her because every time she dies, we gotta rehash all this again. And he's so over it. Like, in this whole episode, Coulson is just so frustrated with everything. This was a really great episode, putting Daisy and Coulson front and center. This was really their episode, and the two of them together is such a fun dynamic, and they're both phenomenal actors. This was their episode. Let's see here. I love also the fact that it sort of became this murder mystery. Like, I love, like, murder mysteries, but I love murder mysteries when everybody's, like, confined to one space and it's somebody in their group. Like, that to me is one of my favorite type of murder mystery type things. And so, like, eventually it's revealed to be Enoch because he is programmed to stop anybody from taking the memory chip Diana out of Simmons' brain. And he has to kill anybody that tries to do it, including Simmons. That was the real shock. That, like, it seemed very much like Fitz and Simmons programmed him to do that, to actually, like, kill Simmons if this were to happen. And that seemed really odd to me and really jarring, but I loved it. Now, I love Enoch. I really do. Enoch is one of my, like, favorite characters in this show. But I didn't expect his death to hit me as hard as it did. Like, I feel like out of everybody on the Zephyr, everybody from the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. team, Enoch was the one person that I was like, yeah, he's probably expendable. And watching his death, watching him be terrified of being alone, like, Coulson and Daisy can be with him up until the end, but after the end, he's on his own, and that terrifies him. And as a robot, he's not supposed to have these feelings, but he's been around people long enough that he's sort of adapted to their mindset and stuff like that. It was really heartbreaking. And, it was it was great for Coulson and Daisy to be there in that moment, because Coulson, having died several hundred times, doesn't understand why everybody sort of brought him back as this LMD Chronicom, that they couldn't just let him die. And he learned very much that it's lonely for the people that are left behind. And Daisy learned that it can be pretty lonely to die, too. So they really came to an understanding with each other. But I mean, it was really hard to watch Enoch die without Fitz being there. Like, Enoch and Fitz's dynamic and their friendship is one of the highlights, and Enoch dies and he doesn't get this final moment with Fitz, and it was just, it really, really hurt. And in that moment was when I really sat there and was like, we need Fitz. Like, the whole season I was like, you know, it feels weird without Fitz. But in that moment I was like, okay, like, this is, like, we're really missing Fitz. Sorry, my throat's dry. Yeah. But everything that Enoch said, right down to the "as I have always been," just soul-crushing. But finally, we make it to my favorite episode. Episode 13, What We're Fighting For. Now, it should be no shock that the finale is my favorite episode. Like, it had action, it had suspense, it had returns, it had answers, and it brought me to tears. Like, I was in a puddle on the floor. Like, I was just like, this is so sad. We had Daisy versus Nathaniel, resulting in his death. Finally. And Cora saving her sister. So that was really interesting. I really liked that. We had the return of Piper, Flint, and Davis as an LMD Chronicom. But we also got the return of Lola. So that was really shocking. We got Fitzsimmons' daughter. We had to leave Deke behind in the alternate timeline. But, I mean, he's doing well for himself. Apparently he's in charge now. I love when all the agents are just, like, sitting there like, so are you in charge now? And he's like, yes. Yes, I am. So I think he's doing fine for himself over there. But it's the moment when we cut to 1 year later where the waterworks just kick in and the tears are streaming down my face and I am ugly crying. It's so sad. So we knew from the episode, As I Have Always Been, that the team would survive. Like, the team members would survive, but this was their final mission together. We didn't know what was in store for the team going in. I'm going to cry again. But 1 year later, they all meet up using some kind of mind device that, like, projects them to the meeting spot. I don't really know how it works. If somebody knows what it is and how it works, let me know in the comments down below. I'm really curious. But it's like some sort of mind device. And they're discussing how things have been and where they all ended up, essentially. So, Mac is still very much in charge on a helicarrier. Yo-Yo is working with Piper and Davis. May is teaching at the Coulson Academy, where Flint is one of her students, and she has never been more exhausted. Now, I have a question about that before I go to everybody else. So is S.H.I.E.L.D. Academy now Coulson Academy? Or is Coulson Academy a branch of S.H.I.E.L.D. Academy? Or, like, is Coulson Academy just some normal pre-Shield Academy school? Like, I don't know. Like, somebody answer me, what is Coulson Academy supposed to be? Anyways, Fitz and Simmons, they're retired with their daughter. So that was really nice to get to see them finally be together, finally be happy, finally have their daughter, and just be normal. Coulson can apparently power down whenever he wants. Like, he can die whenever he wants, essentially. And he's not quite ready to do that yet, because there's a lot of places that he has yet to see and he wants to see. So, he's doing that. With his dear pal Lola. And of course, Daisy is still going strong with Daniel. And her new recruit is Cora, and they are potentially agents of S.W.O.R.D? Maybe? I don't know. Is this a hint at something? Let me know in the comments down below. Yeah, but just seeing everyone in the circle talking to each other, and then one by one removing their devices, landing right back where they are, just, it brought me to tears. It brought me to so much tears. Like, just watching them all just sort of leave. Like, when they're like, okay, we're good. It was just like, oh man, like, yeah, it was emotional, and it was a great, finale. Season finale, series finale, all of it. It was just a great finale. Yeah. So that is my ranking of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 7 episodes. Let me know in the comments down below, how do you rank the episodes? If you don't want to go through all of them, give me your top 5 at least. I'm really curious to see how everyone ranks the episodes in terms of their preferences. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, click the notification bell so you can be notified when I upload my latest videos. Follow me on all the socials. The link is in the description down below. And I will see you all in another video. Bye, guys.